Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is mindset, and the title is Who's Doing the Best? So this is actually in regards to just kind of mental and emotional sanity during all of the craziness with the coronavirus. So a lot of people are struggling, whether it's external and you can kind of see it in their social media posts or when you talk to them. A lot of people are struggling internally and they're just kind of not expressing it. And it isn't a weakness. It isn't uncommon. It's just part of human nature that when there's changes to our world around us, there's becomes kind of nervous anxiety or stress or worry or wonderment about how things are going to change for us. So it's okay to kind of being mentally aware that change may happen, to try to be prepared in some ways. You don't want it to be turning into like worry and anxiety and depression where it starts to like control you, but you do want to have awareness that this stuff is going on, and there are matters to be attentive to, and you may need to start adjusting your behaviors in some way. But being blind to it or pretending like it doesn't exist is not really healthy, and it's not realistic and not the mindset you should have. But at the same time, you can't let it eat you away and kind of take over your whole life. So I wanted to talk about who is doing the best of who I've talked to. So I'm very fortunate in the sense of what I do for a living. I get to connect with a lot of people. So, oh gosh, I probably should have thought of this before I made that statement about how many people I actually talk to. But I would say I probably talk to about 50 to 100 people a week. And that would vary here and there, but that's probably within that range. Via, messages we get from the podcast, messages from clients, messages from, gym members and just friends and acquaintances in different ways related to business or just personal friendships and stuff. But it would not, I would say probably the number is probably between 50 and 100. And within that 50 to 100, there's just insane variety of how some people are doing. Some people are just stressed and worried about things that don't seem to be as important as they think they are. And now, again, that's only my opinion. But if you were to take the opinions of the smartest people who are doing interviews and talking about the virus, there are certain things that are kind of more reasonable to give our attention to, and certain things that are probably less reasonable to give our attention to. And we want to make sure we're having our attention to the right things. Then there are people I talk to who are kind of in denial about everything, and they're just pretending like everything's normal and nothing's changed and everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. But you can see the flames going on around them, and they're not fine. And then there are the people who are actually doing okay. And what I wanted to talk about today was 5 things that I saw amongst the people who are doing the best mentally and emotionally with what's happening in the current state. So let's go through these 5. And if any of them strike your fancy, or any of them seem like something that maybe you can give a little attention to, maybe you can give better organization to your mindset using these 5, that would be great. That's my hope and my intent of this podcast, is just to show some behaviors and thought processes that seem to be doing the best for people. Okay. So the first thing that has been very, very obvious to the people who are doing the best is they have schedules. So they're getting up in the morning with a purpose. They're getting up in the morning with a plan. There are things that they have predetermined that they want to do, when they're going to do them, how they're going to do them. So it's not just like an idea of, oh, I guess I'll do this tomorrow. They're like, I'm going to get up at 7, get up, have breakfast, get washed up, get ready for the day by 8. At 8 o'clock, I want to get into doing this. And I know I'll have to maybe like go outside because that's going to be the cooler part of the day. So I'll go outside and kind of do this. Maybe it's work out in my backyard from 8 to 9. Then from 9 to 10, I'm going to prep some food for the rest of the day, just kind of settle down, listen to a podcast. Then at 10 o'clock, I want to get in some work emails. But that's how their day is already, it's scheduled. It's planned like hour by hour. They have intent to what they're going to be doing throughout the day. So one of the things I see when I work with older populations who are into retirement, one of the biggest negatives for their mental health is when they don't have something planned. So for, however many long years, like 40 plus years they've been working, they always had a reason to get up every day. They had somebody kind of telling them what to do, or they had something they had to react to that was forced upon them. So then all of a sudden, when they retire and they can pick their own schedule, sometimes they do a shitty job of it. So they don't know how to make their own life, their own plans, because they never had to do it. So they'll kind of get up, meander about, watch some TV, not really do anything, and they feel kind of useless, no purpose to their life, and they start to get depressed. Then they usually overreact, take on a shit ton of things that they don't need to be doing, and then they kind of let their health go to the wayside because they're a sacrificial lamb for the cause of whatever the hell they decided to dive into. So they go from one extreme to the other rather than just kind of planning out a balance. So we want to have some kind of plan because life will fill our time for us. So we want to fill it with good, progressive, healthy things rather than letting life fill it for us, where all of a sudden we're, lost on some rabbit hole on Facebook social media thing for 35 minutes, which is a complete waste of our life and never any benefit, just adds stress and anxiety. So that's the first thing I've seen, is that the people who are doing the best have planned events for the day. So they say idle hands are the devil's playground, idle minds are the devil's playground, or that's when we can get into stress and worry. So don't be idle. Get up, do something, plan things. Okay, put together a puzzle. Doesn't matter what the hell it is. Read a book, watch a podcast, like listen to a podcast. Maybe get up and fold laundry, make the bed. Wipe down some things that have been dusty in the house you haven't dusted for like 5 years. Like, get up and move. Okay, do something. Then you can also ask yourself, is by being scheduled for the day, you have something to look forward to throughout the day and each day. So if you ask yourself the question right now, what am I looking forward to? And you don't have something, you're at risk for anxiety and depression. You should have something to look forward to. So I look forward to working out every day. I look forward to making my podcast every day. I look forward to making a social media post every day. I look forward to doing some other things that I have kind of like progressive goals in my relationships and whatnot. But I have things every single day that I get up with the intent to check off and get done. And it helps me stay more positively mindset and kind of more proactive during this time. So if you don't have something to look forward to, that is a big red flag. You need to start scheduling your day. Not only have an idea of what you want to do, but when are you going to do it? How much time will it take? What resources do you need? Okay? Plan this stuff out. Be a little more proactive. The second thing we look at is to limit your exposure to uncertainty and speculation. And what I mean by this is we're all getting dumped upon with information, whether it's, social media, commercials in TV, or just TV shows talking about it now. There's tons of just information being presented to us about what this person thinks, what that person thinks about the virus. And overwhelmingly, most of the people who are talking don't know shit. They don't know anything about it. People are getting worked up and stressed out over things that they don't even know are true. So there are a couple high-end people who are kind of in this stuff every day. They're in charge of the damn virus. And they're doing interviews. They're presenting information. Look at that stuff. Look at the people who know the most and then don't look anymore. So we have a podcast, podcast number 502, and it's a nutrition podcast, and the title is Who is They? And what that was referring to is whenever somebody had said, like, well, they say you should do this, this, this. And it's like, well, who's they? So if they say you should eat organic, who is they? And why do you believe them? What is their knowledge? What's their proof? Like, how do you have any clue that what they are saying is true? And this is applicable to when we look at things in the news. So when we look at things on social media, who is they? If I'm going to get nutrition advice, I'd rather get nutrition advice from somebody who has formal education on the matter rather than, my friend Susan down the street who has no formal education. She did a diet one time, lost 20 pounds, and now you think she's a genius and she's going to tell you what to do? Hell no. She doesn't know anything. She knows what worked for her, but she doesn't have a damn clue why or whether or not it would work for you. So when you're looking at sources to kind of pay attention to, you only want to look at the highest form of education and experience that you can get access to. Who has the most education? Who has the most experience on the matter that you want to know more about? Regardless of what it is, whether it's sewing or gardening, who do you have access to that has the highest degree of education and the highest degree of experience? Listen to them and not anyone else. It will help you calm your mind, get rid of depression, anxiety, and stress so you're not thinking about shit that doesn't even matter because that person who maybe brought that up has no clue what they're talking about. So check a trusted source and don't check anything else. Also, only pay attention to facts. If somebody is speculating on what could happen, shut your ears and walk away. Don't listen to speculation. It's a complete waste of time. Listen to what people know, not what they guess. Okay? So that's going to help enormously. And again, both of these first two things are overwhelmingly true of the people who are doing the best right now, is they have their day scheduled and they're limiting their exposure to uncertainty and speculation. They're listening to the best source that they have available to in regards to education and experience, and they're not listening to pretty much anybody else. Okay? The third thing they're doing is looking for positives. They're trying to find the good in the situation. So someone I know, they made a kind of like a spreadsheet of the benefits to being unemployed. So they apparently had lost their job in some way due to the coronavirus, and of course that would be that'd be scary. You know, they're not going to have a as steady financial income, and there's going to be a lot of wonder and worry about how long they may be out of work. But to help themselves be more positive, they made a spreadsheet, a list of benefits to being unemployed. And they listed like more time with family, more time to work on organizing, you know, their life, maybe like more time management, energy management. Maybe they want to organize things in their closet, things in their bedroom. There's more time for walks, for disconnection from social media. There's more time for self-care. So they looked for the positives in the negative. Now, this doesn't mean that they're not crediting the negative or they're trying to pretend like it doesn't exist. They're well aware it exists. Okay? We as human beings can handle understanding there's negativity around us while still looking for positivity. You don't have to be all or nothing. You can be aware that life is a crazy mess, but you can also be happy. Those two things are possible simultaneously. Okay? But that's something they're doing. They're looking for the positives. Part of helping towards that is having scheduled days because it gives you that something to look forward to. Okay? So one of the things you can do is you can listen to podcast 247 titled Daily Happiness Routine. And that is a routine I used to go through. I do through a modified version of it now. But in that podcast, I talked about what I did at the end of every day to kind of look for the positives, look for the happiness, and plan for positive and happiness the next day. So if you're struggling to find positives, check out podcast 247 titled Daily Happiness Routine. That will help you with a routine that you can use to find positives. Okay? The fourth thing that most people are doing who are doing the best, they're staying connected. Whether it's video chats on Instagram, Zoom, FaceTime, whether they're doing phone calls, which is scary to people like me who love text messages. Phone calls freak me out. I don't really usually like talking on the phone. I'm the weird young generation where we'd rather still do what we're doing throughout the day and text back and forth rather than feeling like we're stuck on a telephone. Okay, so they do text messages. Just they're staying connected. So they're not bottling themselves up into a little cave. They're staying connected with other people. Now, the caveat to this is if the people you're staying connected to are nervous and negative, and they're just woe is me and the world is miserable, blah, 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 don't connect to those people, okay? So let them keep texting you and just say, oh, I'm sorry, I got busy. I didn't see the phone. Or, oh, I'm trying to take time away from the phone right now. I just want to have some better self-care. They're not going to argue about you taking time for self-care. Okay, but if you do stay connected with positive people. And the fact that you're staying connected does help. So especially for the social butterflies that are out there who actually like talking to other human beings, they're going to feel much bigger hit by being isolated. So doing video chats, phone calls, text messages, things like that, where you can get out and converse with people in different formats, is going to be a great thing to help emotional and mental health. Okay. The last thing we have is staying progressive. The people who are doing the best mentally and emotionally in this time are staying progressive towards their goals. They're doing something every day that's building their tomorrow. That's going to give them hope for tomorrow, and it gives them the belief that tomorrow can be better. So it's very important to stay progressive on your self-development, whether that's physical health, or whether it's a skill development, whether it's trying to streamline and be better at your work. It's just something that you're doing today that you're hoping will be better tomorrow by today's efforts. If you stay progressive towards some goals, it gives you positive momentum from day to day. Okay? There's a ton of other benefits to it, like it eliminates that idle hands kind of thing. If you're doing something to get progressive per day, you're being active and kind of proactive towards it. You're probably also scheduling it, so that helps take care of the schedule component. You're also going to be too busy to look up a bunch of stupid social media outlets you don't need to be looking at, so that limits your exposure to uncertainty and speculation. You're also, like I said, positive because you're building positive momentum. There's a belief that tomorrow can get better. So staying progressive towards goals is extremely important. If you've never set goals before, you're not sure how to set them, we have podcast 124 titled Setting Smart Goals. SMART is an acronym for 5 components that help you set very good goals. So you can check that out. So the people who are doing the best mentally and emotionally during this time of uncertainty, these are 5 common kind of behaviors that they're implementing every single day that are helping them do that best. Okay? So it's scheduling. They have planned events, they plan their days. Not only what they kind of want to accomplish, but when they're going to do it, how long it'll take, and what they need to do it. Okay? So they're getting to the details of it. They're limiting exposure to uncertainty and speculation. So they're just going to look for the one or two sources of the highest education and highest experience levels. Listen to them and no one else. Okay? Just focus on the facts. They're also looking for positives. They're trying to find the good amongst the bad. And again, remember, it's possible. You can be happy while understanding that the world is in complete chaos. You don't have to have a kind of distinction between those two. You can be happy within the chaos. Also, the best people are staying connected. So whether that's video chats, phone calls, text messages, and they're staying connected with other positive people. And they're staying progressive towards their goals. Okay, they're doing something today that will build their tomorrow. So implement these 5 things, and you will have a healthier emotional and mental health kind of mindset and those components throughout your day. So if you're struggling in any way towards anxiety, depression, worry, fear, whatever, reach out to us, and we can help you implement one of these 5 or all 5, but we can help in some way to identify ways in which you can improve your mental and emotional health. Our email is brutalironGym@gmail.com, and we appreciate you taking the time to listen to the podcast, and we want to make sure that you have a happier and healthier life from the time invested into the podcast. So if you need a next step in order to do so, email us at brutalironGym@gmail.com, and we'll help you figure out what that next step is. Okay? So thank you for listening. And like I said, try one of these 5 things. Try 2 of the 5, 3 of the 5, 4 of the 5, all of the 5. Okay? Just try something if you're struggling. And even if you're not struggling, actually, this is a great idea, is even if you're feeling fine, but you're not doing one of these 5, throw it in. It might help just kind of build some more leeway. So if something comes up that's a negative, it won't drop you immediately into anxiety and depression. You can kind of build upon your happiness reserves, so to speak. Okay? Cool. Okay, if you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. The more people we help, the happier the world will be. Also, if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Brutal Iron Gym. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. The podcast is for you, so we want to know what you want to learn about. You can tell us at our email at brutalironGym@gmail.com. Okay, as always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening. And thank you for watching.